Welcome to Economic Forum, a program where we discuss various issues affecting our economy in Zimbabwe. These can be issues to do with agriculture, with industry, with the arts and sports, transport and telecommunications. All those we discuss here, unpack them with regards to how they relate to our economy. My name is John Masugu. Today we are going to discuss the area of education, especially the new curriculum, because it is designed, and I will quote here a writing which I saw from the ministry, that it seeks to develop learners who are ready for life and work in a globalized environment with digital skills meant for an information-driven economy. So that is what we are discussing, because learners here are being prepared for the world of work. So when they come to you parents asking about color, which nowadays is very, very popular in homes as well as in schools, you should know that the education system is preparing them for the future. And to discuss that, we've invited a business leadership strategist, Mr. David Mtambara. But most people would know you from education, Mr. Mtambara, because you're a teacher as well as a headmaster in a lot of well-known schools. Welcome to Economic Forum, Mr. Mtambara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Masuku.
Yes. You are an expert in these areas, and how do you understand this new curriculum? You're going to wear your hat as an educationist as well as a business strategist.
I think the key thing, John, is to actually say, look, in business, when you get products from the schools and colleges, are you happy with them? I know that we are talking of a learner who is going to be in this open society. Let's start with here in Zimbabwe. You would find that there is a significant number of gaps which are there within the product we are getting from schools and universities, which make the most of those products not suitable for the world of work. That's a fact. And you will find that...
September, even after obtaining 50 points, 20 points, you are saying some of them are not suitable?
You know what I'll do, John, is to take you to my days when I was actually a student too, and that's a long way back. But I had a teacher there who taught woodwork, who told me that, David, a tool is as good as the hand which wields it. You can have a beautiful tool, poor hand, poor product. You have a poor tool with really a craftsman, it will still bring in a masterpiece. Yes. So when you extend that a little further, you will find that the education and the qualifications you are talking about are only tools. But are we developing the hand so that they can capitalize on those tools and use them effectively? I think that's really is the issue when it comes to business, that we have got very good tools but very poor hands, and it is that which I think we would want to see addressed by the education system.
If you were asked to address parents, the ordinary parents, in order to have a buy-in to this curriculum, what are the main points that you drive to them?
The question, to answer your question, is who is being tested? Is it the parent? Is it the teacher? The answer is no. So why are they apprehensive? It is largely because they are products of a system which has become archaic, which are based on results and on marks. Let's look at actually the foundation for this particular system. It is actually meant to give skills, research skills, and project skills to people, because those are the people we need in business. But then because the teachers and the parents don't have those skills themselves, they think that then the curriculum is wrong. More important is that they don't understand their role. If you look at the reason why most parents and teachers are in this dilemma, it is because they want to give the children the answers. That's not the intention of the color scheme. The intention of the color scheme is to bring in competencies in pupils.
So that they can do things.
So all the parent needs to do is to know where to refer the child to. rather than give them the answer. If you give them the answer, we're just back to where we are just looking at, are they going to pass at 90% and get an A or not, rather than actually develop the hand that is the pupil themselves.
But you were talking that you were at school a long time ago,
Yes.
and I think I can also brag about that, that I was also at school a long time ago.
Yeah.
We did woodwork, we did art, even at primary school, we did metalwork and so forth. Why were they dropped, and are they coming back now?
I think there are two ways in which we can look at it. First of all, why did we have those subjects? When I was at school, we were actually not designed to be high-level professionals. We were actually designed to be workers. And it meant that we were being given enough education, which is going to make us efficient workers. And we were under strict supervision to make sure that's done. In fact, I remember at some stage, they didn't want the influence of the parent or the pupil. And parents were not allowed, black parents were not allowed to actually come and visit the school because they wanted to mold a black graduate who is going to fit into that particular context. And as a result, those were actually built in. To me, I like them coming back, but I want them coming back at a higher level.
In a different way.
Yes, that is now what we are looking at is not how to plane planks, but it is how to create a cupboard.
Yes.
So we want higher level skills within the same vein. And this is what color is trying to bring in. The whole idea that if you want to create a cabinet, the parent doesn't need to know how to create a cabinet. All the parent needs is a person to know the person who creates cupboards so that they can refer the child to investigate with them. Then you are teaching them research skills. You are teaching them report writing skills. That's the difference which we
Project management skills and so forth.
Indeed.
That's Mr. David Mtambara, who is a business leadership strategist, and many would know Mr. Mtambara from education because he headed quite a number of quite well-known schools in Zimbabwe. We are discussing the curriculum, the competence-based curriculum, why it was brought back, how it will help our learners, especially in preparing them for the world of work. So join us in the second segment of Economic Forum. We are now in the second segment of Economic Forum, where we are discussing the competence-based curriculum, and we are unpacking it so that it is well appreciated across the board by the learners as well as all the stakeholders, including parents, industry and commerce and so forth. And we've invited Mr. David Mtambara, a veteran educationist, but now branched into business leadership strategy. That's what he's involved with, and that links in very well, Mr. Mtambara, in explaining this topic. We're talking about color, and the full name is Continuous Assessment and Learner Profiling, and we dwelt very much on that. But practically, one of the issues that comes when we're discussing these topics, we're talking about high marks, high grades, and so forth. But what HR practitioners have said in recent years is that some of those people who come with those high marks, when you're interviewing them, you'll only find that during their education, they were just preparing themselves to pass examinations and not preparing themselves for life. How do you analyze that?
I think there are two ways I'm going to analyze it. The first is actually the grades themselves. You would find that those grades were actually designed for about 20 to 25 to 30% of our population to find who is the cream de cream. The rest were really irrelevant. You know, they didn't care what happened to the 70%. What they wanted was to actually cream the 30%. Again, as I said, for the world of work, they wanted the best of...
You're talking about historically.
Historically, yes.
During your time.
Yes. But what has happened, it has instilled in us as black people a mindset that the 30% is the standard. And as a result, we are trying to measure everything around the 30% and choking our children and our pupils to do things which they cannot actually digest. So that particular mentality has got to change. The color system is to try to reverse that we assess people according to their ability and also according to their own special areas of interest. That's really is the major thing. I was very lucky that last Saturday I was at my old school, Jamison, and I had the permanent secretary in the ministry who really articulated that particularly well. That when we look at it now, we would like to have people have meaning of what their academic studies imply. Instead of just knowledge-based, we're actually looking at translating that particular knowledge so that it can be translated into competencies which can actually resolve issues. See, that's the bigger difference. So that's really
and this
the major
cuts across all subjects.
all subjects.
Whether you're doing Shona,
Shona.
Ndebele, English,
Mathematics,
there are skills there. Because people tend to think that when you're talking of skills, you're talking about woodwork, you're talking about metalwork and so forth. Whereas if you're studying English, are you able to draft a letter? Are you able to write your CV and other things? Those are skills that you're talking about. Yes.
And in fact, one interesting observation the permanent secretary made was when she visited the culture village. She said, "Oh, I looked this with nostalgia, and began to really think of my village home and so on, which was good." Said, but I was very disappointed when I asked in detail, what does each one of those things mean? The learners didn't seem to know, which is really the object.
They had the knowledge, but they didn't have the
just-
skills and the understanding.
And the understanding, that is when you actually say number, what does it really mean? The only answer they will give is a place where it's the room for girls. Why do you think the girls are put there? No clue. And this is why now you need to go in and develop that area so that not only do they see these things, but they understand that that's a cultural factor and a cultural factor which needs to be built up in our induction of those. And we are not saying that teachers should be the experts of that. Teachers should be the expert of identifying people who can do that so that they can refer students to those experts and not go if necessary. Say, no, why don't you go to go so and so, they will explain. Then the
Or
fear
to your
of
parents.
teachers, the parents would need also the experts. When the child comes home with homework, I've seen a lot of parents who then send on social media to actually say, guys, what does this mean? And when they get it, they say to their child, this is what it means, but they've defeated the purpose. What they should actually be saying is, who do you think is the best to explain this? When they know, they say, my child, go and say so and so, so that they are learning investigative skills. They are also doing now projects management. How am I going to manage my time so that I go and say so and so? That's what the purpose of colors is. But right now, we're just looking at it as inherited. How can we get an A class from our people? So we ask and give them without training them anything.
Mr. David Mtambara, a business leadership strategist, having come all the way from education as a teacher as well as a headmaster, giving us his views about the new competence-based curriculum, which is meant to prepare learners for the world of work and understanding the economy so that when they leave school, they are not into surprises. These will be things that they already have an idea about. So join us in the third and final segment of Economic Forum. We are now in the third and final segment of Economic Forum, where today we are discussing the competence-based curriculum which is now being implemented in schools. We've had some feedback about it from parents, from stakeholders, and from the students themselves. And we invited Mr. David Mtambara here, a former educationist, and when a teacher, you're always a teacher, but now he's a business leadership strategist, to unpack this and also to share his experience in the world of education and the world of work, where he has been at the helm of important organizations. You are mainly concerned about the role of the parent. You think it's quite critical in order for this curriculum to move forward. Say something about that.
I think, let me start saying that actually, that the All Colors project is not so much the world of work, but it is actually compensating for a weak parenting of parents. Because the parents are the ones who should give ethos about work. They should be giving values about work.
At home.
At home.
Yes.
Yes. But now they are not doing that. You know, they are only worried about the certificate. So the Colors is going to compensate for that, providing a way in which now students are getting the skills and competencies which parents should have given in the first place. But the parents are sabotaging that as well, because instead of allowing the child to develop those competencies, they think it's them who are being tested, not the child.
Because they want to provide answers.
Yes, they want to bring in this concept that I know everything, and they feel belittled because the child is coming and I don't know. They don't understand their role. In Colors, their role is not to provide answers. It is to be able to provide resources who can provide the answers. And once the parents do that, then there's less pressure on them in terms of being tested by their own children at the school. And they play now a more useful role of improving the research abilities of their children, who will then benefit. In fact, the assessment which we have here, as I said, I had the honor of being with the permanent secretary. For example, soccer. How much are we linking the soccer player to the scientific knowledge they are getting in their science club? How much are we looking at the competencies of this soccer individual in terms of their achievements in the school? Because they're actually encouraging that they should have competently trained coaches who will then be able to classify these students, and that will go into that continuous assessment program. That's really the whole issue. So that's why I'm saying parents have got to change. It's not you being tested, it is the child being tested. Your role is provide resources for children to research on their own, rather than for you to do the research for them.
How about this difference that we see in schools?
Yeah.
That the issue that you're talking about of parents, where already parents have been encouraged, to teach some of these things at home, and also the schools themselves bring in different people from the world of work to share their experience with the learners, rather than learners only concentrating on having higher grades. Do you think it will be a repetition for them to be doing color when they already know?
No, that's why I said it's compensating for weak parenthood. How much time do
So I'm talking about those who are strong.
Yes. But those who are strong are in the minority. Right now, even what you call the strong parent, the affluent parent, how much time are they spending with their children? You'd find that they think that if they buy gadgets for them and they take them on holiday, then they are educating them. Whereas the kids, when they are thrown into the world of work, they are completely at sea. So their role really is to provide resources for children to investigate on their own. If the parents do that, I know that most parents complain that it is very expensive. And really, is it expensive? There are two aspects to it. One is you who is making it expensive, because you are looking for expensive support resources That's number one. Then more important for me is it expensive to sacrifice for your child? It's a mindset, isn't it? You would rather go in and have good things and your child suffer. To me, my primary responsibility is to ensure that my child has got the best education they could. And I could pay an arm and a leg for that. And it is my responsibility. There's been also another argument of the rural-urban divide. My question to that is premised on the basis that the rural areas must stay as they are and the urban areas as they are. Whereas we're actually saying what is going to be the education required within those rural settings so as to move them up. And that is where the focus of the colors will be different from the focus of the colors in the urban areas. We don't want children from rural areas migrating into towns. We would like them to stay in rural areas and improve the livelihoods of rural areas. And therefore, the issues they are addressing in their colors are commensurate with the areas which we want them to actually look at and face. So the question of differentiation falls away.
How about the issue of homeschooling? A child who has never been to a school environment with fellow learners, they've always been at home, they're always with mom and dad, or with mom or with dad alone. How does it contribute to all this preparation for the future?
In fact, homeschooling is actually another way of doing colors. Because when the parent is there at home, one, they are there to guide. And then they realize that to guide, you've got to go and direct your child in this way and that way, depending on where you have. I mean, if you look at, for example, in life, if you look at, I was listening yesterday to Mr. Mabinde's son, who is now also a musician. It is through homeschooling,
yes.
You know, and that is actually making them a much better livelihood than whatever grades that son had as an academic student. So that's where I would answer that.
I mean, in short, I mean those who don't even go to any school, but they are schooled at home, very briefly.
Well, those who don't go to school at all, I'm not sure of the circumstances. Because of choice, because of poverty, you know.
Choice.
By choice, it is because they've seen that the school is irrelevant. You know, I'll give you a quotation. You were quoting the ministry. I'll quote a philosopher who said that, you know, when you look at children, children are not adults. They are children. And if we train them as adults, we produce a forced fruit, which is rotten before it is ripe. And that is what we are seeing. We are treating our children as adults, rather than actually as children who need to be groomed in many ways. And when people see a failure in that system, they bring their own children home so that they can treat them as children and watch them grow.
Mr. David Mtambara, an educationist as well as a business leadership strategist, we were unpacking the competence-based curriculum and dwelt very much on the color system, which is very, very well known among families. I would like to thank you very much for coming to Economic Forum. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can do so on the numbers that are showing on your screen. And if you would like to engage us, you can also do that on the social media platforms that are showing below on your screen. If you have missed some of the episodes of Economic Forum, you can watch them on our YouTube channel, which is Economic Forum Zimbabwe. So on behalf of Mr. David Mtambara, as well as the production crew, this is John Masugu wishing you happy viewing.